assessed value of the property before the development took place is in place.
Right.
And all the taxing bodies have been receiving their taxes
Right.
based on the original value, and that will be true right up through until the closing of the TID, correct?
Correct. I mean, for the purposes of the existing distribution of taxes from that property, it's as if the new development did not occur and the old site was still in place with the surface parking, the empty stores, and the substandard groundies. Those taxes that were paid at that time continue to get, that level of taxation is still shared by the taxing bodies. It's the incremental value that is being used to prepay the bonds that the trustee Maher just described.
Right.
And so, and it's the point that Mike Harrigan was making in his letter was that in 2025, there will be $33 million of additional taxable value to the village that all the taxing jurisdictions will share. And all of the debt that was incurred to make the project happen will have been fully repaid.
Yes?
Thank you for your memo and for responding. I didn't have a lot of time to read the 3 p.m. submittal of most of the information yet, but I did review some of it, or at least skimmed over it. I just want to make it clear that the reason I've been requesting the information, the post-construction documentation, is because I really believe, as most governments, that it's important to close out the project, make sure that, we'll look back, even if you're not getting money, there's no clause that we can take money back, but to determine whether 2 things. One is, were the project cost estimations provided by the developer reasonable? Were they in the ballpark? And that's typically what you do at the end, is just to make sure, if you plan to do business with this developer in the future, or if there may be that opportunity, that he's a trustworthy guy. He gave us the numbers that were substantiated by the actual cost. So that's just one reason why you would do a look back and on projects of this magnitude.
I think that's perfectly reasonable, and I think that's probably the reason why he's more than happy to let you come look at the books, because he may
Right.
want to do business here. So I don't think you'll have no qualms with that.
And then the other reasoning would be to make sure that there wasn't any egregious omissions or oversights in our financial analysis that Ellers had done it from the beginning. So it's just a look back and consider, what did we get right, what did we get wrong? Was the information that was provided to us at 2014, did it actually pan out? And so I was a little taken aback on the memo from Ellers, and I know he's not here, so I'll just relay it to you, but he gives us the information from 2014, and then he runs the numbers using $1 million overage. But as you said, the overage will result in more income. So I think it's...
No. He just did that as a matter of information. The numbers he used for his IRR analysis were based upon the December of 2014 numbers.
Right.
Then he just added as a footnote, by the way, if they did in fact put an additional $1 million in, the number would be less. He didn't provide that number. He just said if in fact they put $1 million more of equity in the deal.
It goes down to 18.35. So he did actually provide the number. So what I would like to request from Ellers, if you know, and Attorney Block, do you know the cap rate that was used at the time of sale?
For the recent sale? No, yeah. I can tell you it's probably significantly less than what
Right.
anybody thought it would be.
So there's 2 factors that would drive profit significantly higher. Those, and it's not cost overruns. It's cap rate at the time of sale, and it's the year of sale, because there's a cost to the time that you have your money
Right.
invested. So if you can get your money out earlier. So if you look at that trend line, my estimation is he received an extra $10 million than what we had estimated based on the 6.5 cap rate. So that's something I would like to explore. It's an easy thing for Ellers to do. Just hypothetically, just plug in a different cap rate
Right.
using the same information. Cost overruns that were, and that's what I'm going to request of Ellers. You can pass pass along, I'll write it up for him, but, the cost overruns, I reviewed quickly at 3 PM what you had sent to us. The developer fee doubled. Most of the cost overruns from 2014 were soft costs. So if you look at, I mean, they didn't meet our loan at 6.5 million. How did that get absorbed?
The 6.5 million?
Yeah.
They didn't need your loan at 6.5 million because of the cap rate on the sale. The new buyer didn't need the loan. Now,
Right.
but having said that, this is a REIT. Okay, they paid all cash, which they have the ability to do. They also leverage their properties from time to time because that boosts their yield.
Right.
So it is entirely possible that if the loan component had stayed in this agreement, that between now and the end of the project, they might have said, I'd like the loan now.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
why we proved it.
Right, well, that was a benefit to get out of the deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that was, I mean, I don't want to take all night reconstructing this deal. The fact of the matter is, this is not that different in terms of structure than what was done for Lightworks, because they're fairly similar in terms of retail, residential, and apartment structure. And at the end of the day, the wrinkle on this one was the site acquisition because it had this god-awful 60-year ground lease at above market rents. And what this developer was able to do was effectively get Roundy's to pay up, which nobody else had been able to do, for the deal they had cut on the ground lease. And so they paid, but they wouldn't pay cash. We tried to get them to pay cash. What they agreed to pay was a higher rent. And that was great for cash flow, but the problem was no lender would honor that higher rent and finance against it. The reason being that if they took over the property and had done a foreclosure, they would not be able to release the property at that higher rent. They would only be able to release it at the market rent. So the loan was intended, if necessary, to cover the gap between what could be conventionally financed and what couldn't be conventionally financed. And we didn't know if it was going to be necessary or not, but the construction lenders wanted it. They viewed it as a partial takeout because they were not confident that this could be totally refinanced. What was not required in this deal, but was required in Lighthorse, and we were grateful it was not, was that the lenders in Lighthorse required that that loan be pre-funded and put in escrow. We didn't have to do that on this one. And as the time panned out, it was such that we didn't have to do the deal at all, which was great. Now, personally, I kind of liked the loan
Yeah, I do too.
because financially, it was there were going to be excess tax increments that could help pay it down, but the borrower still had to pay the loan in full, which included
And we can see
everything.
his finances.
And at some point at the end, you start to get cash flow free and clear if you close the TID.
And
However, you are closing it 4 years earlier as a result, so there's almost an offset. There's cash in terms of getting the cash earlier from the $33 million of increment being available sooner. But in any event,
And if we had a clawback clause, if the
Right.
project was 20 million and we had 50% sharing over a certain amount, we would be paying the TID off today.
But we don't have a.
I understand
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
because
yeah.
he's talking about.
but the other thing that I want to make a point on,
Yeah.
the reason these projects were somewhat similar was the parking structure, because that's a non-revenue producing asset and it's expensive. The grant portion for a $35 million Lightworks project was $5.2 million. The grant portion for a $50 million Metro Market project was $5.5 million. So the bottom line was that it was that parking structure that was driving the grant. Even though one project was much more expensive than the other, or better, so I mean, one was about 15% grant subsidy, the other was 11.6% grant subsidy. So, I mean, and then, you know, I can tell you that, you know, we've been through this, so I don't want to belabor the point, but our starting point with General Capital was, these are the deal points that are required to do a deal in Shorewood, and they included clawback both with respect to construction and with the sharing on a sale. Also, we had a litany of 10 other things that were basically protecting the downside for the village. Their response was, we'll do this deal with all the safeguards that you want. We're not going to give you the sharing. And we can bring Roundy's to the table with a 2-story grocery store and parking structure, which they've never done in this marketplace before. And they're not doing anything in the state of Wisconsin. They're doing everything in Illinois. We can bring that to the table because we've done a dozen deals with these guys. We went through, I don't know how many years with other developers and so forth and so on. I think there was conscious and careful and methodological approach that the CDA, the village board took to this, and they decided that the policy behind trying to get this deal done, the priority for this project, merited giving up those two items. That's not unusual. Many municipalities have done that when the policy behind something is important and the project they want to get done is important. And the wild card on this, the reason you've got that multiplier and the reason you're looking at 6.5 cap rate is because out of the blue, Kroger came along. And no, that sale took place a year after the development agreement was inked. Nobody saw it coming. It was certainly within contemplation that it could happen, but there were this equal number of bad scenarios that could happen as well over time. And I remember for probably every month, President Johnson was reviewing financials of Roundy's, checking out and telling us how they were doing, what their rating was, and so forth and so on, so that we felt comfortable that this was a deal worth investing in. And I think the CDA, to their credit, I think they analyzed everything they could with the best information at the time, and stuff happens. I mean,
And that's fine. I mean, we're
yeah,
not
so I mean,
asking for
it
money
it
back
is
or
what it,
anything like that.
yeah, so we're gonna get paid full, you got a great project. Do we wish we could have put that deal together with the payback and the clawback? Absolutely. It wasn't on the table.
And it hasn't been costing the taxpayers extra money while we're doing it, because the payback is on the increment.
So,
So I have a few questions that are pretty technical. I didn't get a chance to ask them in email. In the memo from Ellers, it states that the reason they didn't need the 6.5 million is because the commercial financing was available at a better rate.
I think he was making an assumption. It really had to do with the fact that he had an all-cash buyer.
Okay.
It was willing to, he had a Kroger credit, drop the multiplier, the cap rate down significantly, to yield to these guys.
Okay.
If this buyer would not have bought around these asset, they would buy a Kroger asset.
And it also states beyond the construction cost overage of 1.7 million, if you do look at the numbers and try to compare them briefly, it is mostly soft cost. It's not the hard cost on over. If it is, we'll say the rents are also, because they've been better conditions, the rents are also, the projection. of rents
Maybe, I
are
don't know. I
better.
mean, well, those are fair questions to pose too.
Yeah.
So-
So, my big thing, I can't find where the additional equity was injected.
Well, you just ask, I mean, this was just, he's just telling you we put it in. And well, if you get to the bottom of some of the draw requests, you'll see these equity line items. And so those numbers are there. But just work it through with Michael when you meet with him. I mean, he'll
Okay.
fill it out.
So the other thing I'm a little concerned about is that we approved the amendment to the developers agreement, which we confirmed with you that the obligations that used to be on general capital that are not fulfilled yet for the parking structure and the grocery store property would run with the land. So whoever purchased that LLC or the property, whatever type of sale it was, that new owner or owners would be obligated to fulfill those requirements.
Right.
Do you know the name of the purchasers?
Well, yeah, I don't know if they used an LLC for it, but the principal was Realty Income. They're based in San Diego. They will be providing, at some point, I assume, a notice to the village with their new notice requirements and so forth, so.
To let us know who they
Yeah,
are. And-
right.
Okay, so the only thing that I am interested in moving forward is to rerun this analysis using 2017, which is the one thing we know of year of sale. 2016, I'm sorry, the end of 2016.
Right.
But that's the one piece of information that's been confirmed. And we don't know the sale price. We don't know the cap rate. We don't know that the construction costs are actually $1.7 million over until you get into the details.
Right.
So I think that will be eye-opening because those two factors have an enormous impact on IRR.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, the other thing about the IRR, though, is that even if it was sold at a really modest profit, if this happens in year 1 or year 2, it's going to blow the IRR off the charts. And so it's, in some respect, a difficult measuring stick in terms of what the actual return to the developer is. I think what Ellers does, and I've seen this do this around the state on all their municipal analysis, is they try to pick what a reasonable holding period is average transaction, then they try to project out, based on the asset class, what a reasonable cap rate would be. And by at least applying a uniform standard across the table, you're able to kind of do an apples-to-apples analysis as they look at all of these projects. But as you know, accurately, if you move the sale up by 5 years, it changes dramatically. If you move it out 5 years, it changes dramatically. And so whether that construct is the appropriate construct to use or not, I think that's a judgment call that they've been using advising municipalities, but I think if you want to have a discussion on that point and suggest modifications.
Most brokers will do that, we'll just run different IRRs.
Yeah, but, right.
But what's more important is, how does it affect Shorewood right now? I mean, right now, we have a project that has been closed.
Well, I think Allison's point is that on the next deal, maybe look at different ways of trying to analyze the IRR.
This is one of the most significant public investments Shorewood has made in a private development. And so I don't, not the most, I said one of the most.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's our obligation to look back and make sure that we, didn't miss anything, that the projection